Chapter 21 3 Blessings come to the door, breaking through the realm of the earth night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 days later, the Blake family made a big show of sending Katie off to Eagle Town. Along with her came a dozen skilled blacksmiths specializing in military gear and 3 siege crossbows. This was all, ostensibly, Katie's dowry. Wow! The Blakes are really pulling out all the stops. Someone remarked. A dozen blacksmiths and 3 siege crossbows. That's one crazy generous dowry. If I'd known, I would have proposed to Katie myself. Keep dreaming. That dowry is clearly the price the Blakes paid with the Habs family's help. If you proposed, you'd be the one paying them a dowry. Marrying a beautiful woman and getting a dowry like that. Baron Rennes really lucked out. Even though this was a marriage alliance, the wedding was a huge, lavish affair. Practically every noble from the surrounding area showed up. As they watched the Blake family's procession hauling in the dowry, the crowd buzzed with envy for Rennes. At noon, the wedding officially kicked off. Rennes, decked out in noble finery, watched as his soon-to-be bride, Katie, approached the door. It had to be said, her reputation was well-deserved. Katie truly was a stunning beauty with a pure, doll-like face and a figure that screamed mature woman. She was the perfect example of a baby-face bombshell. The contrast was incredibly alluring. For a moment, Rennes was completely captivated. Humph, seeing her husband's expression, Janice couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. She pinched a bit of flesh around Rennes' waist, twisting hard. Caught off guard, Rennes winced in pain. Hiss. Janie, what was that for? You're already drooling over this little temptress before she's even part of the family. Once you're married, you'll probably forget all about me and my sisters. Janice said, sounding a bit bitter. Come on, you know I'm not like that, right? You'll always be the one I love the most. Realizing his wife was jealous, Rennes quickly reassured her. After a bit of sweet talking, Janice finally calmed down. The rest was pretty standard. Following the usual rituals, Rennes and Katie successfully tied the knot. This marked the official alliance between the Blake and Habs families. That night, Rennes and Katie consummated the marriage. The 5th mistress of the Habs family had arrived. Maybe it was her figure or just good luck, but Katie was pregnant just 2 months after the wedding, and that wasn't all. It seemed like Layla and Murphy, who had been trying to conceive for ages, were also influenced by Katie's pregnancy and got pregnant as well. This triple blessing brought Rennes immense joy. Half a year flew by. Janice and Jessica, who were the first to conceive, were now about to give birth. Jessica went into labor first. She had a girl. Ding. Offspring's aptitude for magic is average. Aptitude for fighting spirit is low. Comprehensive evaluation, bronze level. Reward, 10 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 4-star combat skill, holy light /. 6 days later, Janice gave birth to a boy. Ding. Offspring's aptitude for magic is low. Aptitude for fighting spirit is low. Comprehensive evaluation, black iron level. Reward, 1 year of fighting spirit cultivation, perception attribute +3. Not the best roll of the dice. Both kids had pretty average potential. The system rewards reflected that, however, the 4-star combat skill, holy light / was still a nice addition. It allowed him to counter evil creatures with holy light. This skill could temporarily convert fighting spirit into holy light energy, dealing massive damage to those creatures against the followers of evil gods who wielded negative energy. It was as powerful as a 6-star skill after claiming the system rewards. Rennes' strength increased significantly. The total amount of fighting spirit in his body was astonishing. If he wanted, he could try to liquefy and refine his fighting spirit and advance to the 10th rank Earth Knight realm, but there was a risk of failure. Rennes wasn't about to rush it. He knew his aptitude was just average. Taking the risk was not worth it. If he failed, the rebound could seriously injure him. As a man with a cheat code, he didn't need to rush. Waiting for his fighting spirit density to reach its limit and automatically break through was the smart move. Chapter 22 Children #039 Education Issues, Recruitment of Noble Teachers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half a month went by, and it was a new year. this marked 10 years since Rennes had crossed over to this world. His oldest son, Lyfa, was already 9. Since he turned 6, Rennes had been training him to build a foundation for cultivating chi. The kid was as strong as a bull. He spent his days wrestling with other kids his age, but Lyfa was a bit simple. All brawn and no brains. He wasn't very cunning. To keep Lyfa from growing up to be a gullible fool and to prevent his younger siblings from suffering the same fate, Rennes discussed it with his wives. They decided to hire some teachers to give the kids a little culture. Easier said than done. Finding a qualified tutor wasn't going to be easy. In this high magic world, knowledge was power, and it came at a premium. Knowledgeable people were rare. Especially out in the sticks of the newly established Jijiao area, Rennes had no choice but to head to the county seat. He was itching to get out of his territory anyway, so he decided to lead the expedition himself. After making arrangements to ensure everything ran smoothly in his absence, Rennes mounted his warhorse and rode off towards the county seat with a dozen guards. Lyine County was the heart of the Lyine region, about 600 miles from Eagle territory. After days of riding hard, Rennes and his men finally arrived. The first thing they saw were the massive city walls of Lyine County, towering over 70 feet high. They were built of some kind of blue stone, etched with magic runes. Anyone standing before them felt like an ant. The black rock city walls Rennes had built back home seemed like child's play in comparison. The defenses weren't even close. Eagle City has a long way to go. Rennes thought to himself, acknowledging the disparity. He shook it off and led his guards toward the city gates. There was already a long line, thousands of people. Farmers, merchants, free citizens, most were refugees, seeking shelter in Lyine County. The outside world was chaos, bandits roamed free, and dark gods were stirring. It was dangerous out there. Naturally, folks flocked to safety. As the regional center, Lyine County boasted strong defenses and a substantial garrison. It was the obvious choice for anyone looking to survive. The crowds at the city gates grew by the day. Luckily, as a nobleman, Rennes didn't have to wait in line. He could use the noble's entrance. He presented his family crest, passed through the magic array to verify they weren't cultists, and they were in. Stepping onto the wide streets, surrounded by unfamiliar buildings, Rennes and his men were suddenly lost in the big city. Just as Rennes was about to ask for directions, a young boy in rags approached. "My lord, can I help you find your way? I grew up here in Lyine County. I know every street. For just 10 copper coins, I can show you around." He was eager to earn a few coins. "Forget the tour. I need to find qualified teachers. Take me to them, and I'll give you a silver coin." Rennes smiled. "Deal, my lord." The boy's face lit up. Under the boy's guidance, they navigated the streets and arrived at a tall stone building. A sign above the entrance read Professional Association. "Noble sir, this is it. The Professional Association. You can find almost anyone with a skill here, gardeners, butlers, teachers." The boy waited expectantly for his reward. "Here you go." Rennes tossed him a silver coin. While the boy thanked him profusely, Rennes and his men entered the building. They explained their needs to a staff member, who soon provided them with a list of teachers. Area, age, 40. Apprentice of level 3 Scholar Lando Charnley, Scholar level 1, resume, former tutor for Baron Ali and Baron Moore. Proficient in world history and heraldry, Lelia, age, 31. Apprentice of level 6 Scholar Annie Oslin. Scholar level 2, resume, former librarian at the Rhine Grand Library. Proficient in mathematics, history, and Elven language, Emily, age, 25. Apprentice of level 4 Scholar Anjuin Nussis, Scholar level 1, resume, 5th rank swordmaster. Former sword instructor for the Viscountess's eldest son. Proficient in swordsmanship and basic magic knowledge. Note: in this world, knowledgeable individuals are called scholars and possess specialized professional certifications. They are ranked from level 1 to 9. Scholars above level 9 are known as erudites. They are well versed in most of the world's knowledge, including forbidden knowledge. Their status is highly respected, comparable to legendary experts. Chapter 23 Going to the station of the Bauhinia team, the girl with a throbbing heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Emily. 25 years old, mentored by Andrew Nussis, a level 4 scholar level, 1. Background, a skilled magic swordsman, 5th rank, previously taught swordsmanship to Viscount Lady's eldest son. Proficient in swordsmanship and basic low-level magic, Ibble. 42 years old, mentored by Shrek, a level 4 scholar level, 2. Background, a mage, 3rd rank, 2nd son of the Levy Baron family. He's tutored many barons' eldest sons and is proficient in basic low-level fire magic, noble etiquette, and heraldry. Maybe it's the crazy times we're living in, there are a lot of noble tutors looking for work right now, but here's the thing, most of them are only level 1 or level 2 scholars, level 3 and above are rare, high-level scholars are hard to come by in the Rhine region, and they don't have trouble finding jobs, so Rennes had to pick the best of what he had. After careful consideration, he chose Lelia, Emily, and Ibble as the Habsburg family's new tutors. Lelia would teach history and math, Emily would teach swordsmanship and basic magic, Ibble would cover noble etiquette and heraldry, a well-rounded approach ensuring the kids develop morally, intellectually, physically, artistically, and practically. Once he made his selections, the association staff went to let the three of them know. At the professional association, hiring is a two-way street. They'd need to work out salary and benefits in person. Emily was the first to arrive, and I gotta say, this scholar, who also happens to be a 5th rank magic swordsman, really had it going on. She was wearing magical leather armor, a fine steel longsword at her side, and a blue magic crystal floated around her. She looked both heroic and mysterious. Rennes was immediately impressed. After a little back and forth, they came to an agreement. Rennes hired the swordswoman for 100 gold coins a month. Next up was Ibble. Maybe it was his noble upbringing, but the old scholar looked super stiff and serious. Every hair was slicked back and shiny. Rennes cut to the chase, laying out his terms. When Ibble heard the job was in the Eagle's territory, his face fell. Things are too dicey out there right now. I'm afraid I have to decline. And with that, the old scholar turned and left. He clearly wasn't willing to leave the relative safety of Rhine for a job. Rennes couldn't force him. If someone doesn't want the job, there's not much you can do. Not long after Ibble left, Lelia showed up, wearing a scholar's robe and gold-rimmed glasses. She radiated intelligence and sophistication, a beautiful, mature woman. She was pretty cool with leaving Rhine and heading to the Eagle's territory. She just wanted assurances about her safety. And a little bump in pay. After some negotiating, Rennes hired her for a hefty 85 gold coins a month. After that, Rennes found another young scholar who knew his way around noble etiquette to replace Ibble. With the teacher situation sorted out, Rennes and his crew didn't stick around in Rhine for long. He did pick up some magical skincare products for his wife as a gift, then they left Rhine County, heading toward the Eagle's territory with the 3 scholars. The team wasn't moving as fast as before. Since the scholars were traveling by carriage, they covered just over 120 miles in half a day. That evening, Rennes and the others arrived near Cardia. Looks like the Lilac Adventure Team's headquarters are in Cardia. We should swing by and see Frenna and the gang. Thinking this, Rennes picked up the pace. They got there just before nightfall. Rennes and the others made it into Cardia. They found the best inn in town. After getting the 3 scholars settled in and making sure they were safe, Rennes went out on his own. Frenna had given him the address for the Lilac Adventure Team's headquarters a while back. After asking around, Rennes walked a couple of blocks and found himself in front of a wooden villa. It was beautifully decorated. The white walls were covered in climbing vines with flowers blooming all over them. It looked both beautiful and cheerful. He walked up, and knocked on the door. Click. A few seconds later, the door opened. A lovely figure stepped out, but it wasn't Frenna, it was Lyfa. Lyfa, long time no see. Seeing her, Rennes greeted her with a smile. Rennes, what are you doing here? Lyfa looked surprised. I was in Rhine County hiring a private tutor and thought I'd drop by. Rennes said with a smile. Come on in. It's cold out. Lyfa warmly pulled Rennes into the villa. The inside was immaculate, the air smelled like flowers. He sat down in a chair. Lyfa poured him some floral tea. Hey, where are Fleur and the others? Rennes asked, sipping his tea. he'd noticed that Lyfa was the only one there. The other members of the Lilac adventure team must be out. Fleur and the others just took on a job to take out a bandit group nearby. They won't be back for a few days. I'm here taking care of things because of my injuries. Lyfa said, a hint of sadness on her face. Overusing her chi source had taken its toll. Although her chi level was still at the 5th rank, she had less than half of her original chi in a one-on-one fight that she probably couldn't even take down a 4th rank fighter if she went on missions with her friends. That she'd just be a liability, they'd have to watch out for her, that's why she'd been left behind. She knew they were just trying to protect her, but it still made her feel useless. Your chi source will recover. I know it will. We'll find a way to help you. Fleur, the others, and I will help you find rare treasures to make you better. Sensing Lyfa's sadness, Rennes said softly, feeling Rennes' genuine concern. Lyfa, who already liked him, felt her heart skip a beat. A secret hope grew stronger. Chapter 24 Lyfa, Rennes, can you stay with me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Rennes' comforting words, Lyfa's spirits lifted. They moved past the gloomy topic that had been hanging over them. They started talking about other things. Rennes noticed a change in Lyfa's personality. She used to be a lively, energetic, and outgoing teenager. Now, she seemed much more subdued. A touch of sadness seemed to cling to her. She'd matured almost overnight. The overuse of her chi and the loss of her future potential had clearly taken a toll. We need to be more careful. Searching for treasures that enhance potential. Rennes thought. To cheer her up, Rennes played along with whatever she wanted to talk about, and Lyfa was eager to open up. She told him about the pain from her injuries, the despair of pushing her chi too far, and the sadness and frustration of never becoming an advanced hunter and feeling like a burden to her sisters. As she spoke, Rennes offered encouragement with words of wisdom from his past life. The more they talked, the closer they felt. Time flew by. Before they knew it, the moon was high overhead. It was late, a new day was just around the corner. Then, Rennes realized it was getting late and made to leave. Seeing him go, a flicker of shyness crossed Lyfa's face. Gathering her courage, she stood and asked, Rennes, will you stay with me? Their conversations, especially this heart-to-heart, had left a deep impression on her. Rennes was taken aback. A man and a woman alone in a room, this didn't feel right. He didn't want Lyfa to do something she might regret later. It could ruin their friendship. I like you. I fell for you at first sight, and I've fallen even harder since then. As if sensing his hesitation, Lyfa hugged him from behind, confessing her feelings. Hearing her heartfelt words, Rennes' composure melted away. He turned and embraced her. Soon, a beautiful melody filled the villa. Their private concert lasted until dawn. The next day, the sun rose. Gentle morning light filtered through the curtains into the bedroom. Feeling the warmth, Rennes woke up. I didn't expect her to be so bold. He thought, looking at Lyfa sleeping soundly on his chest. He recalled the night's events and felt a sense of amazement. As if sensing his gaze, Lyfa stirred and woke up. Still a little sleepy, she started to get up, ready to get dressed. The sunlight streamed through the curtains, highlighting her figure. Seeing her beauty, Rennes was stunned. She saw him beside her. Lyfa froze, now fully awake. Oh my God! Realizing what had happened, she blushed, grabbed the blanket, and snuggled back into Rennes' arms. Her actions ignited something in Rennes. In seconds, they were back at it. The sounds of their lovemaking filled the room once more. 2 hours later, it was over. Lyfa, marry me. After breakfast, Rennes spoke seriously. Having crossed that line and taken her virginity, he now considered Lyfa his woman. Hearing this, Lyfa looked up, her face filled with surprise and joy. Rennes, do you really mean it? She asked, her voice trembling. She thought Rennes, a nobleman, would never marry a commoner like her. She'd been prepared to be his mistress, but... Of course, I mean it. If you're willing to be with me. When we return to Eagle territory, we'll have a wedding. Rennes said firmly, leaving no room for doubt. I'm willing. Lyfa happily agreed. Now that she knew she was going to marry Rennes and return to Eagle territory with him, she started packing. Then, she remembered something. She found a blank piece of parchment. She wrote a note explaining where she was going, telling Frenna and the others not to worry. She placed the note on the living room table, weighing it down, locking the doors and windows. Rennes and Lyfa left the villa that belonged to the Purple Clematis adventure team, hand in hand. Chapter 25 Fairy Bloodline, Rich Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Noon, Rennes escorted Lyfa back to the tavern lodging the family guards and scholars. They were packed and ready to go, just waiting for Rennes' signal. After lunch and a short rest, they left Cardia, heading home to Eagle territory. Lyfa was constantly anxious, worrying Janice wouldn't accept her or let Rennes marry her. Despite Rennes' repeated reassurances, she couldn't shake her fears. He resorted to intimate gestures to distract her from overthinking. 3 days later, they arrived safely at Habs Manor. Hearing of Rennes' return, Janice and the other women rushed out to greet him, their faces bright with anticipation, but when they saw Rennes holding hands with Lyfa, their smiles faded, replaced by resentment. Looks like we've got another sister. Every trip he takes brings home a new sister. We need to keep him home more often. Lyfa lowered her head, not daring to breathe, intimidated by her new sisters-in-law. Offending them was the last thing she wanted. The less she said, the better. Rennes, unfazed by the glares, calmed Janice and the others with jokes and the beauty and skincare potions he'd brought back from Rennes. Soon, Janice and a few of the women whisked Lyfa away for a chat, acting like they were already old friends. Women formed friendships quickly. Relieved to see Lyfa fitting in, Rennes turned to arranging accommodations for the tutors and scheduling classes for the children. The next day, the manor maids began preparations for a wedding. Despite Lyfa's protests that it wasn't necessary and she only wanted to be with Rennes, he insisted on giving her a proper ceremony. He knew a wedding was a once-in-a-lifetime event for most women, and he didn't want her to have any regrets. Touched by his thoughtfulness, Lyfa relented. The wedding wasn't attended by nobles, but it was still a lively affair. Almost the entire town of Eagle's Nest came to celebrate as Lyfa and Rennes became husband and wife, making her one of the many mistresses of the Habus family. 2 months later, Lyfa was pregnant. A week later, Jessica also conceived. Only Janice remained unexpectant, but that wasn't surprising. She was already the mother of 10 and, at 33, was considered an older mother, so her fertility was naturally declining. Rennes wasn't concerned. He continued to dote on her. Besides the 2 new pregnancies, Katie, Layla, and Murphy were all over 9 months along. They were due any week. 3 weeks later, Katie, Layla, and Murphy gave birth to Rennes offspring, detected the birth of the host's 21st child. Magic aptitude low, fighting spirit aptitude medium, bronze level evaluation. Reward, 10 years of fighting spirit cultivation, low-grade aptitude improvement potion. Detected the birth of the host's 22nd child. Magic aptitude none, fighting spirit aptitude low, iron level evaluation. Reward, 1 year of fighting spirit cultivation, physique attribute +3. Detected the birth of the host's 23rd child. Magic aptitude high, fighting spirit aptitude medium, hidden bloodline, fairy, after bloodline awakening, can gain extraordinary abilities such as natural affinity in plant manipulation. Silver level evaluation. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 6 life fruits, a first-order magic lock, war mist. Layla and Murphy each had a baby, a boy and a girl. The 2 children had average aptitude, earning only bronze and iron level evaluations from the system. Katie, however, surprised him all. She gave birth to an offspring with a silver level evaluation in her first pregnancy. This was his 3rd silver level descendant. Barring unforeseen circumstances, these 3 would become advanced transcendent beings. With a bit of luck, they might even break through and become powerful figures above the 10th rank. Great Earth Knight, Great Mage, the Habsburg family could become a prominent family in the Kingdom of Lance. This system prompt mentions a hidden bloodline. It's obviously inherited from Katie. The fairy bloodline is likely the reason for the fetus's high aptitude. It seems that in the future, I should seek out more beautiful women with extraordinary bloodlines to have children with. Snapping back to reality, Rennes internally summarized. He wasn't particularly surprised that Katie, a human, possessed an unawakened fairy bloodline. Although crossbreeding between humans and other races was relatively rare in the Roland continent, it did occur. Besides reproduction, there was also a technique called bloodline transplantation. Mages would use this magical modification to transplant the blood of extraordinary creatures into themselves in pursuit of greater power. Their children would naturally carry the bloodline of that extraordinary creature. Over time, the concentration of the bloodline would decrease, eventually becoming a recessive gene. Maybe Katie had a mage ancestor who transplanted fairy blood, who knew? As long as there were benefits, that was all that mattered. Receive system rewards. Chapter 26 Life Extending Treasure, Powerful Magic Lock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. System rewards claimed. Rennes thought to himself, instantly, a surge of incredibly powerful Do-Chi energy materialized inside him after assimilating the equivalent of 41 years of Do-Chi cultivation. The amount of Do-Chi within Rennes skyrocketed again, almost overflowing his Chi sea. The mist-like Do-Chi began to condense and liquefy. Once all the Do-Chi in his body had completely liquefied and formed a higher-level energy, Rennes would finally break through and become a great Earth Knight. However, he didn't have enough Do-Chi yet to complete the process. He needed more. Rennes estimated he'd need roughly another 50 years' worth of cultivation. Breaking through to become a great Earth Knight is seriously tough. Rennes sighed inwardly. This was a major hurdle. In the kingdom of Lance, there were tens of thousands of advanced transcendents above the 6th rank, and nearly 1,000 above the 9th. But there were fewer than 50 above the 10th. That disparity showed just how difficult it was to cross this line. It was like a carp trying to leap over the dragon gate, impossible without genius or a stroke of luck. Without a golden ticket, he'd never reach that level in his lifetime. Shaking off the feeling, Rennes refocused on his system rewards. Besides the boost to his cultivation, the system had delivered some awesome stuff this time, like the potions for physique and low-level skills. But the real prizes were the 6 life fruits and the first-order magic lock, Warm Mist. According to the system, the life fruits were rare fruits from a branch of the elf clan's mother tree, packed with life force. Eating one could significantly extend your lifespan by about 10 years. You could only eat 3 in a lifetime. For a maximum boost of 30 years, everyone dies eventually. A treasure like this, which could prolong life and stave off death, was unbelievably valuable. He could offer it to the king and probably trade it for a dukedom, but Rennes wouldn't. A dukedom was nothing compared to lifespan. Besides, having something that valuable would make him a target. If he showed it off, he'd be swarmed by powerful people within days, especially those nearing the end of their lives. If he wanted to live, he'd better keep it to himself. And the first-order magic lock, Warm Mist, wasn't bad either. It was one of the elf clan's greatest magical achievements. Even the lowest-level first-order magic lock, Warm Mist, was powerful. When activated, it released a dense illusionary mist that blocked perception. At the same time, it created dozens of mist beasts, each as strong as a high-level transcendent, to attack and devour anyone who dared enter the enchantment. Without a 10th rank expert, it was virtually impossible to break through. Any transcendent below the 10th rank who tried would be signing their own death warrant. It was the perfect way to protect a stronghold. This is all great stuff. Rennes' mind raced with possibilities. This round of system rewards was incredible. He quickly decided how to use them. He'd eat 3 of the life fruits himself, the other 3 would go to Janice. She was his first wife and the oldest of the bunch, so she needed the longevity boost the most. Jessica and the others were only 26. He could give them something similar later. The magic lock definitely had to go in Habs Manor. Habs Manor was at the center of Eagle's domain. The enchantment's range completely covered Eagle's town. With that protection, the territory's defenses would be exponentially stronger. Rennes immediately got to work. Installing the magic lock was easy. He just placed the formation disk at the designated point and activated it with his energy. The system provided a tutorial, and Rennes was done in 5 minutes. A subtle magical pulse rippled across Eagle's town. The magic lock and Warm Mist were successfully activated. Next, Rennes grabbed 3 life fruits and ate them. The skin was pale green, about the size of a date. The taste was like cherries, but way better. After savoring the flavor, he felt a powerful yet gentle energy flowing through him. It felt like soaking in a hot spring. The feeling lasted for more than 10 minutes before the energy was completely absorbed. He checked himself in the mirror. He looked younger. His skin, which had started to look dull and loose, was glowing again. He felt completely refreshed and looked more than 10 years younger. I didn't expect the life fruit to have a beautifying effect too. Rennes nodded in satisfaction, then he had Janice eat the remaining life fruits. He didn't tell her they prolonged life. If she accidentally mentioned it, things could get complicated. Instead, he said they were beauty enhancers. Janice saw her skin in the mirror and was thrilled. She looked like she was 18 again. She immediately went to brag to her sisters. She didn't question Rennes' explanation for a second. Chapter 27, The Black Family Asks for Help, the Rock City that is about to be attacked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time really does fly. Before you know it, another 3 months are gone. Ever since we hired those 3 fancy tutors, all the kids 5 and older are stuck in classes 6 times a day. Their playtime has been seriously cut back, which means Rennes gets to spend a lot more time with his wives. Thank goodness for a break from those little terrors. Things have been heating up between them. Janice, Katie, and Layla are all expecting now. Looks like we'll have 3 new babies around New Year's, but it's not all good news. We've been dealing with a nasty drought here in the Rhine region, going on for over a month now. What was supposed to be a killer harvest is now down by half, and with the Duchy of Lances still squeezing everyone dry with those crazy taxes, a ton of people are completely broke. They can't even put food on the table. That's why this evil cult is blowing up so fast. Their numbers are growing like crazy. They've already taken over 10 towns in less than a month. Doing blood sacrifices and kicking out over 10 noble families. The Rhine is a mess, and everyone's scared out of their minds. Except for us. Rennes territory is surprisingly calm, because we started brewing beer. Rennes had the foresight to stockpile a ton of wheat, so even with this food crisis, we're not exactly starving over here in Eagle's domain. Things are pretty stable, all things considered. And those cultists trying to muscle in from outside? They can kiss the Black Rock City wall and the meteor-breaking city crossbow goodbye. Let's be honest, Eagle's domain is still a pretty new operation, and our population is only a little over 10,000, compared to other towns. We're peanuts, those evil priests who are into blood sacrifices to get power. We're not exactly a high-value target. There are easier targets to hit than Eagle's crest. No evil priest calls the shots here. Even those 6th-rank cultists aren't a match for Eagle's crest, but just because Eagle's crest is peaceful doesn't mean everyone else is. This morning, Rennes got a desperate plea from the Blake family. Apparently, some evil priests are leading tens of thousands of cultists to besiege Pancher City, the Blake family's territory. They're in a really bad spot and are begging Rennes to honor their agreement and send troops to help. Figures, the Blake family's got those top-notch forge crafters and those 3 meteor-breaking crossbows. After reading the letter, Rennes tapped the table, letting out a sigh. Evil priests and tens of thousands of cultists, that's a serious problem. But he swore an alliance with the Blake family, sealed with a magical contract. He can't just bail on them. Those contracts are watched over by the god of contracts himself. You break one, and your soul gets tossed into the Styx. That's a price he's not willing to pay. Looks like I've gotta handle this personally. With his level 9 skills, he can take care of those cultists and get the Blake family out of this mess. Even if some evil god shows up, he's confident he can make a clean getaway with that. Rennes made up his mind. He got things in order around here, making sure nothing would fall apart while he was gone. Then, he hopped on his warhorse with his best guards and rode off towards the Blake family's city of Pancher. While Rennes and his crew were speeding towards the Blake family, things were looking bleak in Pancher City. Tens of thousands of cultists, armed with whatever they could find, were swarming the city walls. These cultists used to be just regular farmers, but now, they're pumped full of this weird, cult energy. One-on-one, they're no match for the soldiers of Pancher City, but the high priest has brainwashed them, turning them into bloodthirsty animals. They don't care if they live or die. Even if you stab them, they'll still try to stick you with their pitchfork. Fighting against crazies like that would freak anyone out, and the soldiers of Pancher City were no exception. Barely 10 minutes into the attack, the soldiers defending the walls were getting pushed back by the endless wave of cultists. Their morale was tanking. It looked like they were about to crack. Anyone who retreats gets killed. Bennett, who was temporarily in charge of the Blake family, lost it. He ran up to the wall with his bodyguards and started chopping down anyone who tried to run. He also promised the soldiers a reward if they held the line. 30 gold coins each, and if they died, their families would get hundreds of gold coins, a mix of fear and greed. The soldiers of Pancher City started to pull themselves together a bit. They relied on their training and teamwork to barely hold the line, but Bennett wasn't exactly celebrating. He knew that the Blake family didn't stand a chance. The best these soldiers could do was delay the inevitable, and once those high priests of the cult decided to get involved, things would get even worse. Did we send the message? When do we expect the Habsburgs to show up? Bennett asked his butler. The message is out. The Habsburgs should have it by now. If they haven't run into any trouble and send troops right away, they should be here in about half an hour. The butler replied. Half an hour? Bennett's face fell. That was way too long. At the rate things were going, Pancher City wouldn't last that long, but even if they couldn't win, they had to try. He wouldn't let the family's legacy die on his watch. With that thought in mind, Bennett put on his armor and joined his elite guards in the fight against the cultists. With their skills, they managed to clear the cultists off the eastern wall. Kill! 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 Seeing their leader fighting like that, the soldiers of Pancher City got a surge of courage. They fought together, wiping out any cultists who made it onto the walls, but it didn't do much good. There were just too many cultists, tens of thousands of them. The cultists they killed were a drop in the bucket. Soon, the cultists were back, swarming the city walls again. The sounds of fighting and screaming filled every corner of Pancher City. Chapter 28 Holy Light defeats the enemy and kills the priest of the evil god. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the cultists' relentless and fanatical attacks, the number of soldiers in Pancher City dwindled rapidly, and a breach soon opened. In just over 10 minutes, the soldiers on the western wall were wiped out, and the defense was lost. 20 minutes later, cultists swarming from the front and the west overwhelmed the soldiers on the northern wall. Seeing the defense collapsing, Burnett grew anxious. Have the Habsburgs arrived yet? Covered in blood, Burnett cut down cultists and repeated his question to the steward fighting beside him. No. The steward shook his head grimly. Only a little over 20 minutes had passed. Based on their estimated travel time, the Habsburgs wouldn't arrive for at least another 10 minutes. A hint of helplessness flickered in Burnett's eyes. 10 minutes. By then, these insane cultists would likely have sacrificed everyone in Pancher City. The Blake family's legacy must continue. Andy, get back there and gather all the family members at the East Gate. Knight Kula, rally the soldiers. Gather everyone you can find and prepare to break out. Unwilling to simply wait for death, Burnett launched a final desperate gamble. They would abandon everything and fight their way out of the city. Yes. Yes. They acknowledged the orders. Andy rushed to the Blake family compound to help the remaining members. Meanwhile, Kula, the guard commander, fought off attacking cultists while quickly rounding up the scattered soldiers. However, the cultists of the evil gods wouldn't give Burnett and the others a chance to escape. Stay here and become sacrifices to our god. Seeing a large number of soldiers gathering at the East Gate, Kessler, one of the 4 evil god priests responsible for blocking that side, smirked and acted. Blood golems. A sinister, blood-colored light gathered in his staff. The next second, on Pancher City's eastern wall, the blood of the dead seemed to answer an invisible call. Rapidly coalescing, it formed 5 colossal creatures over 30 feet tall. These blood golems, summoned entirely through blood magic, possessed immense strength, were nearly impervious to physical attacks, and could regenerate by absorbing blood from the surroundings. Each one possessed power equivalent to a rank 6 warrior. The 5 blood golems attacked. The soldiers that Burnett and Kula had gathered were slaughtered like sheep. Their breakout plan was instantly ruined. It seemed that Pancher City and the Blake family were doomed, just as Burnett and the others despaired. Bang! 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 The urgent sound of horses' hooves thundered in the distance. The noise instantly grabbed everyone's attention. Before Burnett and the evil god priests, a group of soldiers bearing the Habsburg family emblem and battle flags appeared. Leading them was Rennes himself. The Habsburg reinforcements have arrived. We're saved! Joy flooded Burnett's and the others' faces. The evil priests were less than thrilled. Seeing unexpected reinforcements from the opposing side, their faces hardened with murderous intent. Kessler, deal with these fools. Don't let them ruin our blood sacrifice. Kane, the highest ranking of the 4 evil priests, ordered. Kessler looked displeased, but didn't argue. though all priests, Cain was superior in experience and accomplishments. Success in this large-scale blood sacrifice would likely earn Cain the Crimson Demon Lord's favor and a promotion to Crimson Bishop. He didn't want to offend his future superior over mere dissatisfaction. Reluctantly, Kessler focused his anger on Rennes and his soldiers. Die in agony, you insects. A cruel expression twisted Kessler's face. A strange energy pulsed from his staff. Level 3 dark magic, Crimson Touch. The next second, hundreds of dark red energy tendrils materialized, sweeping towards Rennes and his troops like giant pythons. This dark magic was unique to the Crimson Demon Lord's priests. Its effect was utterly vile. On contact, the tendrils would drain the target's blood, feeding the caster. The victim would experience excruciating pain, paralyzed and helpless. Only death would offer release. Holy Light Slash. Sensing the strange, evil nature of the tendrils, Rennes drew his storm greatsword, channeled his fighting spirit, and swung with all his might. A massive wave of sword energy, shimmering with divine radiance, burst forth. It collided head-on with the crimson tendrils. The holy light's power countered all evil energy. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The attacks collided. The holy light sword energy sliced through the tendrils, tearing them apart and purifying them as easily as a hot knife through butter. The sword energy continued onward, striking Kessler at high speed. Before he could react, Kessler was hit. If his crimson robes hadn't automatically activated a defensive magic, the Crimson Shield, and blocked most of the holy light sword energy, Kessler would have been cut in half. Even though he survived, Kessler was gravely injured. To a devotee of an evil god, the purifying holy light energy was like sulfuric acid. It burned him from the inside out. Ah! 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 Feeling the holy light energy corroding his body, Kessler roared in agony. He tried to use crimson magic to heal himself, but Rennes gave him no chance. He pressed his advantage. Another holy light slash ripped through the air, killing Kessler instantly. Of the 4 high priests of the evil gods, only 3 remained. Chapter 29. Summon the evil god with 1 against 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shit. Cain and the others looked grim, watching Rennes cut down their comrades like they were nothing. They hadn't expected this unexpected guest to be so damn powerful. 2 moves, and their guys were toast. Their plan to offer a blood sacrifice to Pancher City was looking less certain by the second. We gotta take this guy out. To get the blood sacrifice back on track, Cain and the other 2 exchanged glances and charged in. No hesitation. The 3 evil god priests, all rank 8, unleashed their spells together. They went for broke with forbidden magic beyond their pay grade. Crimson Fury. Instantly, a dark red storm materialized, swallowing Rennes whole. This was a blood storm straight from the Crimson Hell dimension. Brutal power. 1 hit, and you'd be vaporized. Anyone below rank 10 was screwed. Rennes knew better than to take that head on, but he couldn't dodge either. First off, the spell's area of effect was huge. Even using the Gale steps from his wind sword technique, he couldn't clear it in time. Second, he'd poured years into training the night guards behind him. If he bailed, they were dead meat. He couldn't afford to throw away that kind of family investment. No choice, Rennes had to fight back. Storm Art. He channeled his battle aura, activating the rank 3 spell built into his storm greatsword. A towering green tornado roared towards the Crimson Storm, but Crimson Fury was clearly on another level. In no time, the Crimson Storm blew right through Storm Art. Then it kept coming for Rennes and his men. Still, the Crimson Storm definitely shrank a little in the process. Got something. Rennes' eyes lit up. He raised the storm greatsword again, channeled his battle aura, and unleashed a flurry of strikes. Several sword energies, shimmering with holy light, converged into one massive crushing blow. Holy Light Cross Slash. Boom! The Holy Light Cross Slash slammed into the Crimson Storm. Divine Radiance versus Evil Blood, a clash of titans. In the end, they both fizzled out. Ramon, get the others and charge into Pancher City to support the Blake family. Having blocked that attack, Rennes immediately barked the order to his guard captain. The fight between him and the 3 evil god priests was way above the pay grade of these rank 3 guards. They'd just be a liability. Better to send them into Pancher City to back up the Blake family. That was where they belonged. The cultists had already broken through the city's defenses. If no one reinforced them, the Blake family was gonna get pushed out. Yes, sir. Taking the order, the cavalry guards wheeled around and charged towards Pancher City. Even with magic in the mix, a cavalry charge was still a force to be reckoned with, especially when no high-level fighters were around to stop them. Dozens of elite rank 3 cavalry could steamroll 10 times their number in regular troops, let alone brainwashed cultists. Ramon and his men cut through them like butter, blasting through the east gate and into Pancher City. Meanwhile, no time to waste. Rennes charged straight for the 3 evil god priests. Fueled by battle aura, his warhorse took off like a lightning bolt, leaving a trail of vapor in its wake. In seconds, he covered the ground and was right in front of the priests. Holy light power slash. Using the momentum of his charge, Rennes swung the storm greatsword, a giant blade of holy light, stretching out over 30 feet, erupted from the sword a righteous power to smite all evil. Aimed right at the 3 priests, they could feel the heat, even before it hit. Damn it! How can there be such a powerful fighter in the Rhine region? They smelled death, having just joined forces to cast high-level dark magic. Cain and the others ignored the strain on their bodies. They quickly cast a spell, summoning a crimson glow to surround them. The next second they vanished, popping up 100 yards away. Rank 3 dark magic, Crimson Leap. This dark magic used the power of the Crimson Demon God to briefly warp through the dimensional rift between the Crimson Hell and the Roland continent, a short-range teleport, like a knockoff version of Rank 4 Blink. The giant holy light sword missed its mark. Boom! A deafening roar echoed as a gash over 100 feet long and 30 feet deep was carved into the earth. The full force of the blow, wasted. Rennes didn't seem too surprised, he'd expected as much, compared to the straightforwardness of physical fighters. Mages had a million tricks up their sleeves, all kinds of weird spells and abilities. The higher the level, the harder they were to kill. If that priest hadn't been so cocky and hadn't forgotten how to be a mage, he wouldn't have died so easily. Come on. As the attack failed, a glint flashed in Rennes' eyes. He charged again. He doubted those 3 priests could keep teleporting like that. After all, no matter the class, teleportation was a massive energy drain. Seeing Rennes bearing down on them like a bloodhound, Cain and the others scattered, relying on their magical advantages. They unleashed curses from a distance, trying to overwhelm Rennes with numbers. Curse of Blood, Crimson Flame, Blood Golem. Faced with the barrage, Rennes didn't bother dodging. He just blasted them with Holy Light Slash. With his level advantage and the Holy Light Slash's ability to neutralize dark energy, Rennes easily gained the upper hand in the 1v3, and the longer it went on, the bigger his lead got. The 3 evil god priests knew it, crystal clear. Not only was their blood sacrifice plan falling apart, but they were about to get their asses kicked. This can't keep going. Summon my god and kill this guy. Chapter 30. The Evil God Arrives, the Powerful Projection of the Evil God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. We can't keep doing this. Someone, get my god down here to take this guy out. Cain's face hardened, a look of determination washing over his cold features. It would cost them big time, but if this blood sacrifice worked, they could make up for everything. The other 2 cultists hesitated, then, they nodded. Having agreed, the 3 of them combined their power to summon a bunch of blood golems, trying to slow Rennes down. Next, they each pulled out a dark red idol and arranged them in a specific pattern. Everything was ready. The chant filled with evil echoes poured from the mouths of the cultists. With each word, blood gushed from their bodies, soaking into the idols. Finally, the idols seemed to awaken, emitting an eerie red glow. The earth and sky around them were stained crimson. An inexplicable sense of dread filled the air. Are these guys summoning a projection of some evil god? Seeing the terrifying transformation, Rennes paled. He immediately channeled his chi to its max. He charged towards Cain and the others as fast as he could. His holy sword aura purified every blood golem in his path. Supreme Lord, you hold all the mysteries of the world, you are everything. Sensing Rennes getting closer, Cain and the other 2 chanted faster. The rapid blood loss transformed the 3 from normal humans into skin-covered skeletons. They looked more terrifying than any ghost. Driven by the desperate chanting of the evil god priests, Rennes was just a hair too late to interrupt the ritual. As the final summoning chant ended, a massive crack appeared above their heads. Then, a demon radiating crimson light crawled through. It stood at least 25 feet tall, with 3 bull-like heads and spiral horns that exuded pure evil, instilling fear in anyone who looked upon it. My God has arrived. Seeing the monstrous figure, the faces of the three cultists, including Cain, were filled with zealous joy. This was the deity they worshipped, the great crimson demon god Vagnos, who bestowed immense power upon them. This is bad news. Looking at the enormous figure, radiating power from another world, Rennes took a deep breath, his face grim. The projection wasn't the true form of the evil god, but its essence came from a demon that was essentially a god. Even as a projection, its power was at least 11th rank. He'd never faced anything like this before and wasn't sure he could win. My chi cultivation is already at the limit of the 9th rank. The chi in my body is even starting to liquefy, making me a half-step earth knight. Combined with the fine-grade magic weapon, the storm greatsword, and the holy light/technique. I should be able to handle an evil god's projection. Even if I can't win outright. If I can hold out until the projection collapses, I can win without fighting. The Roland continent had strict laws. To prevent its own destruction, the continent had self-defense mechanisms that heavily restricted superdimensional beings like gods, especially evil gods who snatched souls and flesh. Generally, these evil gods would be quickly locked down and eliminated by the dimensional laws, so Rennes just had to stall. The crimson demon god knew all this too. Insignificant mortal, die. The moment Vagnos arrived, his eyes flashed red. He attacked Rennes without hesitation. 5th level spell, Crimson Cage. 5th circle spell, Soul Shatter. As an abyssal god, even a projection had combat power beyond a normal person of the same level. His first move was 2 powerful spells accompanied by the chaotic, demonic language. A surge of magic power erupted from the crimson projection. Before Rennes could react, countless crimson energies swirled around him, forming a cage of corrosive energy. Right behind it was a small, sickly green beam. It looked weak, but don't let that fool you. It was pure soul energy. Anyone with a weak soul would be instantly destroyed by this spell, turned into nothing. It was a death spell that ignored magic resistance and attacked the soul directly. Rennes didn't expect the evil god's projection to be so strong. Sensing the danger, he instantly activated his ultimate trump card, Uninjured Fury. Power surged through him, his attributes doubled. The crimson cage that had trapped him suddenly seemed brittle. He could move again. Rennes activated his fighting spirit and unleashed a holy light slash, shattering the cage. Then, he dismounted his warhorse and used swift wind step, becoming a fierce wind that carried him away. The devastating green light beam from Soul Shatter swept over his previous location and slammed into his warhorse. A normal warhorse with a hint of demon blood was instantly killed by the spell. Just like that, the warhorse that had carried him through so many battles was gone. It had no visible injuries, but its soul was shattered, rendering it a vegetable. Rennes had narrowly avoided death. He couldn't waste any time. Uninjured Fury only lasted 10 minutes. He had to kill the evil god's projection before it ended, otherwise, he was doomed. Holy Light Storm slash. Knowing what he had to do, Rennes took the initiative. Using the swift wind step, he closed the distance to the evil god's projection. Empowered by Uninjured Fury, he unleashed the Holy Light slash technique from the swift wind sword. Instantly, a storm of crescent-shaped Holy Light sword chi tore through the crimson evil god's projection. Dragon Boat Festival book sale. Get 500 VIP points for every 100 points charged. Grab it now. Promotion period, June 22nd to June 24th.